All right, welcome on everybody. All right, welcome on. Today we're gonna have a very simple conversation today. Today we're gonna talk about the 4 steps to financial freedom, right? And we're gonna talk about some of the things that is required to create a stronger financial foundation and how to build wealth using a simple wealth formula that you could use as a guide to pretty much formulate the things that you want and you desire in your life. So, before we get started, I just want to take the time just to introduce myself, just a little bit about myself and a little bit about who we are as a company. So, if you never heard of our company before, or if you never heard of me before, my name is Keon Corniff. Some people call me Mr. Finance. I'm currently 32 years old. I'm the father of 5 beautiful kids. I have 2 boys, 3 girls. And, before this campaign, I became a single dad. I gained custody of my oldest son at this time. And, even at that moment, I had to do what I had to do, right? So in that moment, I was working 3 jobs. I was working from 3:45 in the morning to 11:30 at night, doing that for about 5 years until a cousin of mine reached out and said, hey, come check out this thing. They're teaching people about finance. There's an opportunity. And I was very skeptical. I'm not even going to lie to you. I was very, very skeptical. I was like, what is this about? Is it one of those things? And one of those things turned into something that I saw where I could do full time. And I became a full-time campaigner, and I made a lot of transition throughout my life in this business. Not only is this business, but as this movement. Because what I'm a part of is a movement. It's a movement to empower people. You see, one of the things that I'll tell you, coming here from Jamaica, no one didn't teach us about finance. No one didn't give us a breakdown about finance. No one didn't care to say, hey, this is how money works in America, right? And if you're an immigrant like myself that migrated from a different country, you know exactly what I'm talking about because no one didn't break down the rules to us about how money work here in America. And even if you're American, no one is breaking down the rules to you as well. So, because of that, I joined the campaign and I started doing a lot of things for fun. Some of the things I like to do for fun, guys, I like to travel. Like I said, one of the best vacation I've been on, thanks to the campaign, was going to Hawaii. And Hawaii gave me a back home feel. It's like a little bit of Jamaica. It's not as awesome as Jamaica, but it's pretty cool. And it's a very beautiful island, especially Waikiki. I definitely advise you guys if you ever, plan to travel to Hawaii, Waikiki is the spot. I also love spending time with my kids. One of the things I'll tell you though, I do this campaign so that way I could earn that. And I know it's important for us to be in positions to spend time with family. I think family is so important. And, having, time to do that and enjoy family is probably one of the most key important things in everybody's life, especially in the people that we care about. I also spend time and love to do fun things, hanging out with my fiance and stuff like that. It's really pretty awesome. And some of the things I also love to do is just really hang out with some of my business partners. And this is a picture for those that are online. We're able to get recognized for being some of the top contributors in our company, in our campaign, as people that don't just contribute about in the company, but also in our communities and empowering people and teaching them. So those are some of the things. But one of the things that motivate me, my mother is one of my biggest motivation, right? This campaign in this business, she's one of my biggest motivation and one of my biggest heroes. Someone that I think is one of the greatest women on this planet because the fact that she taught me everything I know, and she continued to be one of my biggest guidance because the thing is this: my mom built a life for all of us from nothing. She started off from Jamaica, built something into from small, build it up, came to America, same thing. And the only thing that destroyed my family is the lack of understanding about finance because my mother lack of know-how actually hurt her, because when she decided to go into real estate and she started buying flip houses. So at the time she was holding a lot of houses, and when they start calling in a loan, how many of you guys remember what happened in 2008 when those loans getting called in? My mother was one of those people that was affected by that, and we lost everything. So if we would have learned a lot more about finance and understand how money works here in America, a lot of these things could have been avoided. And because of that, we took a beating for that. And it set our family back. I like to say it set us back a generation, because we could have been ahead. So after that, that's why when I got discovered about this amazing campaign and learned about, even our company called Aegon, Aegon has been around since 1844, one of the top 10 too big to fail financial companies in the financial industries. And one of the things that Aegon did is that they wanted to make a presence in North America, so they bought the company called Transamerica, which was actually founded in 1904 by a gentleman named A.P. Giannini. Now, if you never heard of A.P. Giannini before, see, A.P. Giannini is the same gentleman that actually created Bank of America. And this is the gentleman that, gave Walt Disney's first major loan to put on his first major film. This is the same gentleman that gave, loans out on a shipping deck to people that wanted to stay and rebuild San Francisco in 1906. This is the same guy that created Bank of America. So when you think about the history of Transamerica, you're talking about hundreds of years of serving the people. Aegon chose them to be our financial department. And now Aegon, is being represented through Transamerica. Now, Aegon also went on and bought another company called World Financial Group, which is a marketing and distribution company. And through that division, we represent over 70 plus financial companies. And I'm talking about companies like Prudential, Nationwide, Voya, Gerber, just to name a few of them. But the division that I represent and that I'm a part of, right? That division is called World System Builder. Now, if you've never heard of World System Builder before, World System Builder is pretty much our educational division of our company. And this is where we launched our campaign in 2015 with the intention to educate, 1 million families by the year 2020. That's when we launched our campaign. But since that, we actually hit our goal of 1 million in May 30th of this year. And we launched a new campaign that very same day. And when we launched that campaign, we said we're going to do 30 by 30, right? That's our new focus, 30 by 30. And it's because financial literacy is, that's our new campaign. And we continue this campaign because we said that, financial education shouldn't be an option. It's actually a necessity. And that's the reason why me and you, it's important that, we learn about finance. And that's why World System Builder is here to commit. We committed and we're here to empower and educate you. Our goal is to do 30 million. We want to educate 30 million families by the end of the year 2030. That's our goal. That's our focus. That's our mission, right? So the way that we plan to do this and why we're doing this, because there's three major concerns that families are facing right now. Three major concerns that families are facing right now. Families are facing what's known as a retirement crisis, where they can't stay retired. Families is also facing what's known as an education crisis, where a lot of kids are finishing school with too much debt. And families are also facing what's called a national spending crisis. We're spending more money than we actually earn. And you know who's the biggest spender of them all? Our country, our government, the people that we elected to run our country. Our country right now is over $27 trillion in debt. That's $80,000 debt. That's $80,000 per citizen. Okay? You don't believe me? Go to US. Go to usdebtclock.org. And you will definitely see what I'm talking about. All right? So that's the reason why we launched our campaign. And we set out that, hey, every family must learn finance 101. Every family needs to understand how to save their future. Every family needs to understand the basic principles of how to build a stronger financial foundation. And on top of that, we launched our financial literacy program where we said that, we want to encourage people to come and learn more through our free workshops. So we started providing free workshops for families every day. Monday through Friday, we have free workshops every weekday. Sometimes 3 times a day, we have free workshops for you guys to come and learn, right? So this is what we're doing and why are we doing it? So what really sparked the revolution was, it was according to a recent survey. It was that survey that was conducted, right? And they said that North Americans are facing serious financial challenges. Now, when you think about some of the challenges of North Americans are facing, we're talking about in Canada, but let's talk about in the U.S. where we are today, right? Because here in the U.S., one of the things that's going on in the U.S., they said that the U.S., the picture is even gloomier compared to what's going on in Canada. Did you know that 33% or more than 77 million Americans don't pay their bills on time? Did you know that 39% carry credit card debt from month to month and only 59% of adults say they have savings? They say worse, more than half. Now I think it's acceptable to default on their mortgage if they can't afford to pay it. So these are the statistics that we hear. So what is it that we do? What is it that we're trying to accomplish here? We're trying to teach you 4 things, guys. It's important for you to learn how to make money, how to save your money, how to grow your money, and how to protect your money. These are 4 fundamentals that you must learn and understand so that way you could know how to create your financial foundation and how to use the wealth formula to build wealth. So you got to have 4 intentions all this year, right? What is your intention for when you're in your finances? What are you going to do to make more money? What are you going to do to save more money? What are you going to do to grow your money? What are some of the things you're doing to protect your money right now? And do you truly understand what it means to do all these 4 things at the same time? Right? So that's why when we sit down with families, we help them to formulate a goal, right? What is your goal? Because the goal that we have for you is that we want to show you how to create a financial foundation. Now, the question is, do you have a financial foundation? Right? Do you currently have a financial foundation? What is your financial foundation right now? Because when you think about it, do you have the protection in place right now? Right? That's the first thing you got to have when you're creating a financial foundation. You got to have what's called proper protection. Do you currently have proper protection in place right now? Right? What do we mean by this? We're talking about the fact that you should have proper protection in the event of if you have any disability, if you have any health problems, and if you have any premature death. This is the fundamentals that we're talking about. Because here's the thing. These are 3 events that you and I can never predict when they will happen to us. We cannot predict when these things will happen to us. We can't predict when we're going to have a health problem. We can't predict when we're going to have a disability. We can't predict when we're going to die, right? So these are unexpected events that could take place in our life at any given time. It's not a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. And that's the unknown. We don't know when, right? So that's the reason why you got to put things in place. That's the reason why before you prematurely die, you must have 4 things in place. You must have your life insurance. You must have your final expense insurance. You got to have your will, and you got to have your trust. Right? These are things we teach and we break down why you need to have it. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to your health problems, you got to know the difference between HMO and PPO health insurance. And when it comes to disability, you must know why you need long-term care in place. These are things that we formulated and educate and coach you on so that way you have the understanding for it. When it comes to understanding about debt management, right? Because now you got to learn how to manage your debt. Once you understand how to put together proper protection in place, you got to understand how to manage your debt. Now, understanding managing your debt, you got to learn that you got to reduce your liability and get out of debt as soon as possible. Now, the problem is that most of us choose 2 ways to do this, which could actually hurt our credit in a major way. First thing we do is that we then learn how to pay off our debt by doing what? Consolidating it, or we bankrupt it. And these 2 ways could actually hurt our credit in a major way. That's the reason why we teach families how to pay down their debt and build up their credit. And if you're going to actually consolidate your debt, you got to make sure that the verbiage that is being sent to the credit bureaus is the difference between paid in full or settled, right? Because when it's settled, it actually can hurt your credit as well, right? Versus paid in full. All of these things help you to be in a better position. And that's what we're here to help you with. But now the next thing you got to have when you create a financial foundation is that you got to understand the emergency fund. Right? You got to understand how to put together your emergency fund. Now, when it comes to emergency fund, what must you have in place? You must understand the fundamentals of how to live on a budget. You must learn how to live on a budget. Now, the question is, how much do you need? You need to have 3 to 6 months of your income set aside for, God forbid moments, any emergency. But how do you get to this place? How do you get to this point? The way that you get to this place, the way you get to this point is by understanding how to live on a budget. Living on a budget is so important for us. It is such an importance because we got to learn how to do that. And living on a budget, we teach you a very simple budgeting formula. So that way you too could learn what is it that you got to do in order to win the money game, right? And that's why we teach you a simple budgeting formula. Now, the next thing we're going to help you with is to understand investments. Right? In order for you to create a strong financial foundation, you got to understand investments. And understanding investments requires you to learn a simple thing. You got to know 2 types of tolerance. You must understand what is your risk tolerance, and you got to understand what is your tax tolerance, right? Why do I say you got to know your risk tolerance and tax tolerance? It's because the fact that you got to know what are the risks that comes when you're trying to grow your money, right? You got to know if you're an aggressive, are you a moderate, or you're a moderate growth, or you are a conservative. You got to know what is your tax tolerance, meaning that how are you going to be taxed when you make that investment? How are they going to tax you when you need your money back to you? Are you going to be taxed on it? Is it going to be taxed now? Is it going to get taxed later? Or is it going to get taxed never? Right? You got to understand there's 3 ways your money get taxed when you need that money when you're trying to grow it. So that's why when it comes to investment, you got to learn how to save and invest for the long run. So all of these tasks, guys, right? I want you to understand this. All of these tasks need to be done as soon as possible, right? They got to be done as soon as possible. And that's why we sit down with you and teach you how to create your financial foundation so that way you understand what to do next. But with every great goal, it requires a great plan. So what is our plan, right? You see, it's very simple, guys. Our plan is this. We want to help you to understand how money works, right? In order for you to create a strong financial foundation, you got to understand how money works. And that's why we want to teach you how money works. Now, understanding how money works requires you to learn the wealth formula. Now, the wealth formula, right? If you've never heard of this before, it is a guide for you to learn how to build wealth, right? And the guide says, if you take money plus time, plus or minus rate of return, minus inflation, minus tax, that equals wealth. That's what the wealth formula talks about. Now, in order for you to understand the wealth formula, so you can use it as a guide to build wealth and to build up your strong financial foundation, then you must understand why we got to have money talks, right? You got to understand why we got to have money talks. And understanding money talks, Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world. You know what Warren Buffett told us? Warren Buffett says, don't save what is left after spending, but we must spend what is left after saving. See, Warren Buffett was trying to give us the clue that we needed to understand on how to build our wealth. Because if you're going to find the money to start saving it or invest in it, then you got to know how much you need to save and invest. And that's why we're going to teach you the concept. So I'm going to break down the wealth formula. What is the action plan to take moving forward? So to understand the wealth formula, you got to understand concepts like, I got to pay myself first, right? The question is, do you currently pay yourself first? Do you set aside 5 to 10% of your income for the future? If possible, can you save 15% or more? Are you doing that right now, right? Are you treating yourself like a bill that you must pay and pay it first, right? Because the fact that you got to put yourself first, because what are you saving today will be able to save you later. If you don't save today, nothing will be there to save you later. So you got to make sure that you're saving. You got to start buying only what you need, not what you want. Because if you learn to just make some of these small changes, guys, it's going to result in big money. That's the reason why they say that spending is a habit, but so is saving. And what if you could make small changes to your spending habits and just start saving simply, guys, $10 a day? $10 a day. That's it. What if you save $10 a day, right? That's $300 a month that you're saving, And if you're able to save $300 a month and you did that for the next 30 years and just got an average return of 8%, you'd have actually $447,000+ today or 30 years from now. What if you're able to save $20 a day? $600 a month. Do that for the next 30 years. 30 years from now, you would have over $894,000+, right? So that's the reason why we learn that time, right? Time is money. That's the reason why time is money, guys. Because procrastination will also be the enemy of your saving goals. You can't keep procrastinating and putting it off. You got to start saving today. So that's the reason why we also got to understand why the rate of return plays such an important role with time. You see, the rate of return, right? If you never understand the rate of return, then you got to understand what is compound interest. You see, compound interest, let me tell you something. Compound interest, guys, is one of the most important discovery in finance because what it does is shows you how to calculate the effect that compound interest have on one's money. Now, one of the things that you also got to learn is something called the rule of 72 because it helps you to calculate how many years it will take for your money to double for you or against you. So let me give an example. Let's imagine that you would take 72, right? The formula says you're going to take 72. You divide it by whatever interest that you're getting on your money, and that will equal the years that it takes for your money to double for you or against you. So imagine that you found a place where you can invest and save your money, right? And they were able to give you 4%, 8%, or 12%. Imagine that you put your money, your $10,000 at the age of 29, and you put $10,000 in this investment that give you 4% interest on your money. 72 divided by 4 equals 18. Your money will be doubling every 18 years. So from 29 to 65, when you're ready to retire, that $10,000 only grew to $40,000. What if you was able to get 8%? 72 divided by 8 equals 9. Your money doubling every 9 years. So from 29 to 65, that $10,000 would have only grew to $160,000. What if you was able to get 12%? 72 divided by 12 equals 6. Now your money doubling every 6 years. So from 29 to 65, your $10,000 would have grew to $640,000. Guys, if you're not earning 8% to 12% on your money, you're not even in the money game yet. That's the reason why we teach families where to get that type of earning potential on their money. See, guys, the difference between, $10,000 getting a 4% interest versus a 12% interest is actually a $600,000 difference. $600,000 difference. Did you know that $600,000 is equal to a 20-year salary of someone that actually earns $30,000 annually? So that means that if you wanted to be in a position where you could make this work for you, you'd have to be in a position where you could save $30,000 a year. What job would allow you to do that? What job will give you the ability to start saving $30,000 a year on top of working and living a life, taking care of your family? That's why you got to have multiple sources of income, guys. You got to have multiple sources of income, right? Because if you don't know your FIN number yet, guys, I'm telling you, you got to have multiple sources of income. That's why they say that there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people that understand how interests work and they make interest work for them. But there's also people that don't understand how interest work and they have interest work against them. The question is, which are you, right? And which do you want to become? So if you have your credit cards, if you have your mortgage, if you have your car note, if you have a loan, student loans, check out the interest on that thing. Divide it into 72, and it will tell you how many years it takes for that thing to double against you. And if you have your 401ks, if you have your IRAs, if you have your SEP IRAs, I want you to check out those things as well and find out how many years would your investment double for you, right? Because all of that will help you to understand, hey, am I on track, right? Because that's what it all comes down to. Am I on track? Am I in a position to win the money game? Now, the next thing we got to understand, right, is about inflation. Now, on the wealth formula, it says minus inflation. Why? The reason why it says minus inflation on the wealth formula is because of the fact that inflation is known to be a silent killer. Did you know that? You see, inflation is like carbon monoxide, right? Can't smell it, can't taste it, but if you be around it long enough, it will definitely kill you. Now, that's what inflation is to our money. And you know what's funny? Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about inflation. Nobody's bringing it up as a concern. None of us is talking about inflation. And it's a subject that we need to talk about. The simple fact that inflation is the rise in the price of goods and services over time. The fact that when the price increases, your purchasing power decreases. For example, if the inflation rate was at a 3.5%, it means that your $100 today will only be worth $96.50 the next year. $96. Right? Did you know that inflation happens when a country prints more money than it actually earns? So the result is that everybody will lose some value of their money. That's why some people refer to inflation as a hidden tax system in our monetary system. Did you know that in the last 100 years, from 1914 to 2014, the U.S. inflation rate averaged 3.32%? Did you know that? Now, you probably wonder, what does that mean? That means that, let's say that you plan to retire, right? Let's say that you plan to retire with $4,000 coming in as an income per month based upon today's value of things. Did you know that just 20 years later, at a 3% inflation rate, you would need to have $7,224 per month? My question is, are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for that? Are you ready for that bill, that thing gonna come and happen to you? That's the reason why we gotta be on track. We gotta understand these things. So at the end of the day, guys, do you understand taxes? Right? Do you truly understand taxes? Do you understand the 3 ways your money will be taxed when you need it? Do you know what it means to be taxed now? Do you know what it means to get taxed later? Do you understand what it means to get tax advantage? These are the things that's so important. That's why we have to pay attention. I know we want to invest. I know we want to save. I know we want to do all these things. But you got to pay attention to where do you put your money in order for that to happen for you, right? You got to pay attention to that and say, hey, what is my tax tolerance? How I want to be taxed on my investment when I need it back to me. Do I want to get taxed now? Do I want to get taxed later? Do I want to get tax advantage? And you got to understand, what does that mean? Because 85% of the population invest and save their money where they get taxed now. And that's where they use checking accounts. They use their savings accounts, CDs, stocks, and mutual funds. 10% of the population use vehicles where they get taxed later, right? And they use vehicles to save and invest into their 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, SEP IRAs, annuities, and pensions. Only 5% of the population learn where they could save and invest their money, where they don't have to worry about paying any taxes. And they use vehicles like a Roth IRA, a 529 college savings plan, municipal bonds, health savings account, life insurance, long-term care, right? All these vehicles that people use. But what does it really mean, right? What does it truly mean to be taxed in this way? So what it means to get taxed now is this. Tax now means that any earnings from these accounts must pay tax for that year. So for example, any earnings from your savings account or certificates of deposit known as CDs, or any dividends from your stocks or your mutual funds or money market funds, you must report and pay tax for the year. You must report and pay tax for the year. And then you have what's there where they tax you later, right? Tax you later. Tax later means that, the money that you put in is pre-tax money. So pre-tax money is money that you deposit in an account, and it's money that you have not yet paid income tax on. But guess what? You're going to be paying a lot of taxes on that money later on when you start to withdraw it. That's why these accounts are called tax deferred. Think about the word deferred, right? It's deferred until later on. So they're going to tax you later on every withdrawal. That's why they said that when you start to take the money after 59 and a half, you will be taxed as ordinary income. And if you take the money before 59 and a half, you will be taxed. You will be taxed. And in addition, you have to pay a 10% penalty on that. And then here's another kicker. You can't keep your money there forever either. You got to start taking it by 70 and a half, or you're going to lose 50% of your income. 50% of your money that you saved up, it will be gone because you failed to take out the required minimum distribution, also known as RMD. How crazy is that? That's not even right. That's not even fair, right? So we got to put ourselves in a position where we could start learning more about taxes. Because did you know the Secure Act that was passed this year, right? There was a law that was passed this year where they said that they moved the RMD age from 70 and a half to 72. The question is, did they do that for yours? And it's important for you to go double check that. Now, why is it 5% of the population learned about tax advantage? And what does it mean to get tax advantage? Now, tax advantage mean that you generally won't pay tax when you withdraw the money from your account. Tax advantage also means that the fact that you already pay taxes on this money. So this money is already being taxed, right? So that's the reason why people use vehicles like, Roth IRAs or 529 college savings plans for their kids' college education. Or people in Canada use things like TFSA and life insurance. These are popular investment vehicles that get tax-exempt distribution. So that's the reason why you got to put yourself in a position to know, when do you want to be taxed? Before or after, right? When do you want to be taxed? Before or after? Should you avoid paying taxes now and defer it until when you get old? Or should you pay taxes now and not worry about in the future? The real question is, can you predict what taxes will be in the future? Can you? Can you predict it? Right? Because since 1913, when the first ever income tax came about, the taxes have changed dramatically. Did you know that through Ronald Reagan era, taxes was over 70%? Can you imagine that? Right? So this is where you got to understand. If you can't predict what taxes is, maybe you should learn about tax advantage more, right? And why is only 5% of the population learn how to use this and save and invest with it? So that's why at the end of the day, guys, we always ask questions like this. Can you build wealth? Do you feel you can build wealth with this knowledge, with this information, with this type of information? Guys, you can. It's a big fat yes, you can build wealth, right? Some people's wealth may be in 6 figures, some may be 7, some may be in double. But the question remains with a big fat yes. Yes, you can build wealth. But building your wealth requires you to understand that retirement savings and wealth building is all a numbers game. You got to know the numbers, guys. Do you know the numbers? Do you understand that as you look at the wealth formula, it could show you a guide? It's a guide to help you build wealth. That's why we give you an action plan, right? And our action plan for you is this. We want to teach you how to spend less, save more. You see, we want to help you to invest your money where if you invest it long enough, right, where interest to compound on that money could help you to potentially build up wealth. Did you know that we also want to teach you about the different rate of return, because why it's important? And also when it comes to your money earning the rate of return, which is higher than what inflation is. We also want to help you to look for investment vehicles that give you tax advantages. Guys, this is what we're trying to do and help you. That's the reason why we even teach you the fact that there's 4 important questions you must ask. You see, when you're building your future and making financial decisions, guys, you should ask these questions, right? The first question you must always ask is, hey, can it potentially grow to achieve my goal? Is it safe enough? Does it have tax advantages? Does it have proper protection? These are the 4 questions you must ask someone before you start investing your money. And if they tell you yes, you must ask them how. If they tell you no, you must ask them why not. You see, if you have a good answer to each of these questions, then yes, you're likely moving in the right direction towards your goal. That's why we tell you that growth is good on your money, but managed growth is way better. It's way, way better. That's why the Formula 1020 is such a very important formula to learn, because it helps you to know what you need. Do you know what you need when it comes to your retirement? Do you know what you need when it comes to life insurance? How many of you guys go to somewhere and they tell you that, hey, you need a $100,000 policy? Is that enough? How did they come up with that number? That's the reason why we teach you how to formulate and calculate what is your need. And we teach you things like the dime method. And if you didn't know how much you need for your retirement, we also teach you things like your FIN number, right? You need to know what is your final income number. But that's why we even teach you this Formula 1020, because the Formula 1020 make it even easier. Just know for a minimum, on a minimum basis, you need to have at least 10 times your annual income in life insurance protection. As far as when it comes to retirement, you need to have saved a bare minimum at least 20 times your annual income, right? That's a bare minimum. That's why it's called the 1020 formula. It gives you a simple way to formulate and calculate. So when it's all said and done, is your money controlling you, or do you control your money? Because with our financial foundation educational program, guys, guess what? You will learn how to do the following things. You're going to learn how to make money work better for you in our workshops. You're going to find and save more money in our workshops. You're going to understand investments and how to build wealth in our workshops. You will even learn how to protect and preserve your money, guys. You will learn how to do that. And that's the reason why we're here to empower you. So at the end of the day, here's what our workshops have to offer to you. In our workshops, we're going to teach you how to increase your cash flow. You're going to learn how to build a strong financial foundation. You're going to learn how asset accumulates. You're going to learn about, retirement strategies. You're going to learn about wealth preservation, building wealth, proper protection, debt management. Our workshops, we do it right, and we do it with a lot of pride, because we take pride in empowering you. That's why we do what we do, because we want to continue to empower you. So at the end of the day, here's the services that we have to offer to all our clients and our members, right? Here's the thing. We're going to teach you about protection. You're going to learn about life, health, and final expenses. Personal, commercial, home, and auto. You're going to learn how to protect all these things. You're going to learn about how to save, how it's saving in mutual funds, active management, ETF, and variable contract works. You're going to learn about debt reduction. You're going to learn how to reduce your debt faster and build up good saving habits. You're going to learn about estate planning, where you're going to learn about planning your legacy, will, trust, and other legal documents. You're going to learn about educational planning for your children or your grandchildren, where you're going to learn that saving and college coaching programs. You're going to get access to a 529 and learn about all these things. You're going to learn about retirement planning. If you're the person that's using like an IRA, a 401k, annuities, pension, profit sharing plans, SEP IRAs, and simple IRAs, you're going to learn all about this. See, what we believe is that the right solution with the right education can help you to progress and make the right decisions. So that's the reason why we want you to let us know. What do you want to learn more about? What is it that you would like to learn more about? Would you like to learn how to become a student with us and get access to our free workshops? Or would you like to learn how to become a client and learn how to create your financial foundation and get access to the wealth formula? Or would you like to learn how to become an educator, right? You want to go out there and campaign with us. You want to teach your friends, your family, your co-workers and people out there in your community as well. See, guys, all you have to do, please get in touch with the person who invited you, right? And let them know that you'd like to learn more within the next 24 hours. And also fill out one of our short survey as well. And definitely share your feedback with us, because we want to know how can we help you. So at the end of the day, we have classes, coaching programs that we do. We do our Money Talk calls Monday through Fridays at 9 a.m. We also have this process, like you just mentioned, like you just observed, 4 steps to financial freedom every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. And if you'd like to learn more about our campaign, every Tuesdays and Saturdays, Tuesdays at 7 p.m., Saturdays at 12 p.m., we conduct what's called our campaign overview. So just remember that you're one decision away from changing your future for the better. But always remember that the choice is always yours. So just as I close out, I want to leave you with this. Where are we with the campaign right now? How many families have been impacted? How many families have been educated? So just as today, our campaign have officially now educated over 1,307,109 people have officially been educated by our campaign. So guess what? The question is, are you going to be the next one? And if you like what we do, and if you like what we talked about today, please do not hesitate to come back again and learn some more. Definitely get in touch with the person that invited you and share with them what you'd like to learn more about. And inbox me as well if you have any questions or comment below. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was such a pleasure, and I had nothing but fun being your educator today. Once again, my name is Keon Corniff, also known as Mr. Finance. Thank you for being here. Have a blessed day.